Have you ever noticed someone pausing to tie their shoe near your driveway? Or maybe, casually wiping their glasses while looking down your street?
Yeah, you kind of wonder if they're just going about their day or...
Or if they're actually studying you?
Right.
Well, today we have a stack of leaked sources that proves they probably are studying you.
It's pretty wild stuff.
It really is. We are doing a deep dive into a really fascinating collection of internal security logs, behavioral analysis reports, and incident briefs. This is all from a high vigilance residential zone.
Specifically covering this really intense window between April and June of 2026.
Right. And the mission today for this deep dive is to decode the, hidden in plain sight psychology of what security professionals actually call pre-operational surveillance.
Basically, we're talking about casing.
Exactly. But I want to set the stakes here right up front because I think we need to clarify for you guys listening that we aren't looking at cat burglars in ski masks creeping around at midnight.
No, not at all. Pop culture totally conditions us to picture like a guy in a dark van with binoculars. But the reality in these logs is entirely different.
It's way more subtle.
Way more. We're looking at the highly calculated behaviors of people blending right into the background. I mean, laborers, housekeepers, nannies, people who are basically mapping out vulnerabilities while just doing their jobs.
Yeah, they use that kind of socioeconomic invisibility as cover. And I want to start right at the perimeter of this residential zone because the sources detail this tactic. They call it disruptive pretexting.
Ah, yeah, that's a great place to start.
It's so interesting. It's all about how mundane or honestly incredibly annoying behaviors are weaponized as tactical cover. Like I'm looking at this incident logged on May 13th.
The pan masala incident.
Yes. So a migrant laborer is hanging around the primary vehicle gate, and out of nowhere, he just spits chewed pan masala right onto the gate infrastructure. Yeah. And like my initial reaction reading that is just, wow, gross. That's a huge hygiene violation. But the security analysts, they view this through an entirely different lens.
They view it as a calculated stress test because, security teams operate on something called a baseline.
Okay, a baseline. Explain that for the listener really quick.
So a baseline is just the normal rhythm of an environment. It's how fast cars move, how people walk by, and crucially, the no loitering protocol.
Right, because a secure environment relies on constant movement.
Exactly. So the act of spitting isn't just a lapse in manners. It's an intentional, very low-stakes excuse to create a localized anomaly.
It gives him a reason to stop.
Precisely. It gives him a plausible reason to stop his momentum and observe how the system reacts.
So he's testing the guard's threshold. He basically wants to see, like, if I do this annoying thing, how long does it take for a guard to actually notice?
Right. Do they physically step out of the booth? Do they just yell over an intercom?
Yeah. It's a way to measure the response time without committing a real crime. It's like a magician's misdirection. You are busy being annoyed by the mess, and they are busy mapping out your camera angles.
That's exactly what it is. And there's a secondary report from May 24th that shows another variation of this. A laborer approaching the vehicle gate, but instead of riding his bike, he's pushing it.
Oh, I read this one.
Yeah, and as he reaches the most secure checkpoint, he deliberately slows his pace, takes off his spectacles, and starts meticulously adjusting them while staring straight into the premises.
Okay, but I have to push back on this a little bit because I'm looking at this log and I'm just thinking, couldn't this just be a guy whose glasses are slipping?
Sure.
I mean, human beings adjust their glasses all the time. How do security teams avoid getting, like, completely paranoid about every single tiny movement?
Well, that's actually the hardest part of behavioral analysis. Separating the signal from the noise. Analysts look for the intent behind the pause. They have to recognize the difference between a casual passerby and what they call a stationary scout.
A stationary scout.
Yeah, and the mechanics of visual tracking totally give them away. Like, if you or I stop to clean our glasses, our gaze usually wanders, right? Or we just look down at the lenses.
Because our only goal is just getting our vision clear so we can keep walking. We're relaxed.
Exactly. But the stationary scout has a totally different cognitive goal. They're probing access points.
So what are their eyes doing?
Their eyes are doing heavy lifting. Analysts are trained to watch for structured visual sweeping. So they move from the camera to the latch to the guard's hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they look for deliberate head tilts to gauge camera blind spots. It's not just the pause. It's the pairing of the innocent physical action with this highly structured, predatory visual pattern.
Okay, that makes sense. But testing the gate only tells you how fast the guards react. To actually map the house, you have to get past the perimeter. And that transitions into the next part of these sources, which is where it gets so much more dangerous. We move from the external threats to the insider as a proxy threat.
Step 2. Moving from the people lingering outside the gates to the people who are invited directly inside.
Like a modern-day Trojan horse, right? But dressed in a housekeeping uniform.
Exactly. And the threat model gets exponentially more complex here because the perimeter has been legally bypassed.
Yeah, there's an April 22nd incident that perfectly captures this inside-out surveillance. A housekeeper is caught doing what the report calls an intense perimeter scan.
And she's definitely not cleaning.
Not at all. She spends 7 consecutive minutes doing deliberate visual sweeps of doors and window latches. She's looking for occupancy movements inside the house.
And the craziest detail in that specific log is the physical toll that Focus took on her.
Oh, the road hump.
Yes, she was scanning the perimeter with such intensity that she experienced inattentional blindness.
She completely missed a massive road hump and almost fell over.
Right, because her brain was allocating so much processing power to the surveillance mission, memorizing latches, noting camera angles, that it literally stopped rendering the ground in front of her.
That is wild.
Her environmental awareness was entirely overridden. And we see a similar cognitive tunneling in the June 5th report about the nanny.
Right, her job was just to safely escort a child from the school bus.
But instead, the logs show her systematically scanning camera viewing angles, floor layouts, occupancy patterns. She totally ignored the child.
And this brings up this huge economic red flag that the analysts point out because, part-time domestic workers in this specific zone earn between $450 to $800 a day.
Which is a lot.
It is. The analysts calculate that 20 man days equals a full-time corporate salary in that locality. It's a very stable, well-compensated job.
Right. And economic logic dictates that you don't jeopardize a premium income stream like that for petty theft.
Exactly. If someone in a stable job is risking it to do this brazen, high-risk reconnaissance, there is a serious underlying motive.
It implies they're being heavily compensated by a third party or, coerced by an organized syndicate.
But this puts the security teams in an impossible position, doesn't it?
Very much so.
Because if looking at a window isn't technically a crime, you can't just arrest a nanny for what is the actual protocol here?
Well, the legal constraints are a massive hurdle. The sources note that counting, scanning, peering under parked cars, none of that is inherently a crime.
You can't prove intent to burglarize just because someone looked at a latch.
No, you can't. And in jurisdictions with really robust gender-specific empowerment laws, the burden of proof is incredibly high. A false accusation against a female domestic worker could result in massive legal blowback.
So what do? Just watch them watch the house?
Essentially, yes. The protocol shifts from confrontation to overwhelming documentation. They desperately need high-definition video logs to capture those specific structured visual sweeps to prove intent.
Building a digital footprint.
Right. And they also rely on environmental hardening, like thinning out vegetation near the walls. They remove the visual cover, so if you want to scan the house, you have to do it out in the open where the HD cameras can see you.
It's an absolute chess match. But, you brought up a really important concept earlier, that the body's physical reaction to the surveillance mission can betray the operative.
Ah, yes, the physiology of casing.
Yeah, and honestly, this is where the sources read less like a security log and more like a human biology textbook.
Because when someone is doing illicit surveillance, they are fighting millions of years of evolutionary biology.
Okay, let's break down the April 24th incident, the tensed triad.
That's a fascinating one.
So a domestic worker is running errands. Suddenly she stops, transitions into a 7-second fixed stare at the property boundaries. But the cameras catch her face, and she has these wide, unblinking eyes, and her jaw is completely clenched.
Right. And to understand why that tense triad is a red flag, we have to look at the biology. A casual, curious glance is about 3 seconds. But a 7-second fixed stare, that means the brain has identified a high-value target. And at that moment, the operative's amygdala, the fear center of the brain.
It's flooding her body with cortisol and adrenaline.
Exactly. Because she knows she's doing something illicit and she fears detection. Her body is physically preparing for a confrontation.
So that jaw clenching isn't anger.
No, it's an involuntary somatic muscle contraction. The fight-or-flight response, The analysts call it a predatory focus.
Because her biology is literally bracing for impact.
Right, while her conscious mind is just trying to memorize a perimeter.
Sure.
You don't get that cascade of stress hormones if you're just daydreaming. And we saw similar leaks on May 25th, right?
Yes, the prolonged staring paired with micro-expressions of anger and disgust.
Exactly.
But listen, all of those physiological leaks are wild, but nothing in these sources prepares you for the observation from June 18th.
Subject A.
The hot tar anomaly. Okay, I need to set the scene for you guys listening. Subject A is a housekeeper. She already has a history of workplace disputes, so security is kind of watching her.
Right.
It's 11:51 a.m. The weather is bright, humid. The ambient temperature is like 31 to 32 degrees Celsius.
Which is incredibly hot.
Yes. The sun-baked asphalt on the road would be hot enough to cause severe discomfort or even actual burns to bare skin.
Right.
So subject A is walking down the road. She reaches the main pedestrian gate, stops, calmly takes off her left shoe, and deliberately rubs the bare sole of her foot directly onto the burning hot asphalt.
Just rubs it right on the tar.
Yes. Then she puts her shoe back on, walks to the vehicle gate, takes off her right shoe, and does the exact same thing. Bare skin on burning tar.
And she shows absolutely no pain response.
No flinching, no micro-expressions, zero physical withdrawal. I read that and had to just stop. Like, is this some kind of trance? Why would someone intentionally press bare skin to burning asphalt without flinching?
Well, the analysts point out that it's a profound demonstration of how the brain can override the body. It indicates a state of extreme hyperfixation.
Leading to, what did they call it? Descending pain modulation.
Exactly. Normal human instinct, the nociceptive reflex, says that if you touch burning tar, the pain receptors send an immediate signal to the spine and you yank your foot away.
It's an automatic reflex to protect the tissue.
But in states of intense psychological distress, or just extreme hyperfixation on a mission, the brain can literally shut the gate on those pain signals.
Wait, really? It just deletes the pain?
Essentially, yes. Subject A was so obsessively focused on syncing her actions to those physical perimeters, the left shoe at the main gate, the right shoe at the vehicle gate, that her brain prioritized the surveillance task over the physical damage to her body.
It's a form of deep dissociation.
Precisely. And to add to that, she showed complete indifference to the high-def CCTV cameras tracking her every move.
Which is weird because of her history of disputes.
Right. Usually someone like that exhibits evasive body language around cameras. They avert their gaze, hunch their shoulders. But walking through a monitored zone, burning your own feet while projecting total compliance, it's the ultimate mask.
It's genuinely terrifying. So we've looked at these solitary operatives, right? The nannies with cognitive tunneling, the housekeepers overriding their own burn reflexes. It's super easy to picture this as a lone wolf endeavor.
But it's not always just one person.
No, the sources reveal it can also be a highly coordinated blink-and-you-miss-it team operation. Which brings us to the tactical formations and the 20-second rule.
Right, moving from physiological leaks to actual spatial dynamics.
Yeah, let's break down the May 5th incident. 2 laborers cased a perimeter in just 20 seconds. And the breakdown in the logs reads like a literal military playbook.
Because they were using tactics you normally only see in trained units. They didn't just walk side by side.
No, they use a lead subordinate formation.
Exactly 1 arm distance apart. And that spacing is so intentional, it allows them to communicate subtly without looking at each other, and it stops them from blocking each other's line of sight.
And then in the middle of this 20-second window, the lead gives this subtle hand signal to the guy behind him, just a signal to slow down.
And that signal is the whole operation. By slowing their pace just a fraction, they artificially increase their visual dwell time on the entry points.
But they don't stop.
Right. They never come to a complete stop, so they don't trigger the no loitering baseline like the guy spitting pan masala did. They glide right through.
But they still have to look at the house, right? Which brings up the deceptive distraction tactics. This part blew my mind.
Oh, the biological hack.
Yes. The subordinate uses a gross, mundane action to deflect suspicion. He literally starts digging his nose.
Aggressively.
It is brilliant, even if it's completely repulsive.
Like a quarterback calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. He does this gross thing to make everyone look away while the real play happens. Right. Humans are evolutionarily wired to feel disgust and avert our gaze from potential pathogens. If a guard sees a man aggressively picking his nose, the instinct is to look away immediately.
It's an invisibility cloak. The guard looks away, and in that exact moment, the subordinate's eyes are locked dead onto the open windows.
Gathering high-value intelligence.
And we know it wasn't random because they did a targeted search. They specifically checked the dog kennel first.
Which means they had prior intelligence. But the logs note their expressions shifted to visible distress when they realized the dog wasn't locked up, but was actively patrolling.
It broke their rhythm.
Totally disrupted their pre-operational plan.
And we see another tactical thing in the May 22nd incident. A laborer kept his head down to defeat facial recognition, but he used hidden rhythmic finger movements. 1, 2, 3 on his left hand, then on his right.
Tactile counting. Logging assets without a visual scan.
So if they can deploy biological hacks, use covert hand signals, and map my home in 20 seconds, how do I possibly defend against that?
Well, the sources actually provide a great solution, and it loops back to the incident with the dog.
Okay.
You vary your routines. Surveillance relies entirely on predictive patterns. They expected the dog in the kennel at 8:05 a.m. Having the dog out on patrol shattered their confidence.
So you inject unpredictability into your baseline.
Exactly. Change when your lights go on, change the route to your driveway. When you vary your routine, the intelligence they gathered on Tuesday is useless by Thursday.
That makes total sense. So to bring this all home for you listening, knowing this isn't about living in a state of paranoia, it's about mastering your own environmental baseline.
Right, recognizing the anomalies.
We've gone from disruptive pretexting, like spitting and glasses adjustments, to the proxy threat of the people inside. We talked about the body's physical tells, the tense triad, the hot tar.
And those lightning-fast 20-second tactical formations.
Exactly. By recognizing the head tilts, the coordinated slowing down, you regain control of your space. And, the escalation log in these sources showed 58 documents uploaded in just those few weeks.
And 47 completely new behavioral patterns evolving.
47 new ways to watch the watchers. So I want to leave you guys with this final provocative thought.
Go for it.
The next time you're waiting in traffic or looking out your window and you see someone doing something slightly odd, adjusting their shoe, digging their nose, counting on their fingers, ask yourself, are you watching them or are they carefully, methodically assessing you?